Lads, do you want to know who's got the big boy pants on for engine speed and horsepower? This Formula One track is going to show you what it's all about. This is incredibly frustrating for a racing driver, lads. If it's not paying off for you, you're a sitting duck. It's almost overwhelming because this Monza track is all about engine speed. Sometimes you go to a track, you're looking for mechanical and aerodynamical grip combined with engine speed, and you need to get a good mixture and balance of all three together to have a good lap time and be consistent. But this is completely different. Monza is all about what's under the bonnet. And if you don't have engine speed, it doesn't matter how good your car grips, you're a dead duck. Let's get into it.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move. He's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from fifth all the way to the lead in lap one.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Wow. Well, Monza is incredibly frustrating, lads, because if you don't have the engine speed, like I said, you're done. I've been here, done that, worn the t-shirt many a times in my career, and it's so frustrating when it doesn't pay off. And if it does pay off, oh Lord God, it is incredibly rewarding. So it's one extreme to the other. Now, let's get into the background of this motor racing this weekend. So, as we see, guys, we've got Verstappen and Norris. These two boys are going for the championship. Now, we'll talk about a bit more news, actually, a couple more updates in the last few days, which is very interesting. We'll get into that in a moment. But as we can see, guys, quickly, Verstappen had all the pace at the start of the year. Then McLaren came along. Boom, they're now on the pace, and now they're the front runner. And Norris now, he's starting to take wins. In fact, he's the guy to watch out for. It's going to be very interesting to know, though. Now we're at Monza. Engine speed's what it's all about. This is really going to open up the car, lads. Now, I've been saying for the last couple of months that we didn't know how quick McLaren were going to be because we had to see them at the three different types of racing track. A slow speed, a mid speed, and a high speed track. Because to have a good racing car, you need to tick all the green boxes with all three different types of track, right? Now, Monza is all about engine speed. It doesn't come down to the driver. This is all about whatever's under the bonnet, you go, you get a little bit mechanical grip. If you can just tweak your mechanical grip, well then you're good to go. And it's all about preserving the engine, making sure it stays cool, temperatures stay cool, and then once you have to push at the end of the race, because it's Italy, it's going to be really warm and humid, and you've got to preserve that engine very, very well. And guys, let's look at the championship points. Okay, lads, so this is, the tension is starting to build because you can see Max Verstappen he's not saying he's panicking. Even an interviewer asked him the other day, are you fearful? Are you guys starting to panic? He didn't say yes or no. He just said, well, we got to look at A, B, C, and X, Y, Z and improve the car. He's worried right now. He's very worried. And going into Monza this weekend, he's going to be even more worried because I don't think they've got the engine speed. Look, we could be wrong on this one, lads. They might pull out something out of their behind here, which all of a sudden, boom, they're in contention to win the race here. But we've got, Max Verstappen on 295 points. Norris on 225. Leclerc 192. Now, Leclerc, a very, very outside chance of getting anywhere here. The two lads in front of him would have to have insane bad luck. And I mean almost to the point of a miracle bad luck to get anywhere here in this championship. And he just doesn't have the pace right now. So let's just keep the focus on Verstappen and Norris. Right here, right now, he's got a 70-point lead Verstappen. We've got a couple of sprint races coming up, which are worth 8 points. But again, if Norris wins a sprint race, he'll get 8. If Verstappen finishes second or third, he'll get 7 or 6 points. So he needs, when it comes to sprint races, he needs Verstappen having DNFs, did not finishes. And even if that happens, let's say then they go into the main Grand Prix of that weekend. If Norris wins the race, let's say turn around. If Verstappen wins the race, but Norris finishes second, then Verstappen closes that 8-point gap he's just lost. So really, my point here is the sprint races unless the guy's not finishing, it's still going to be hard to capitalize, because all it takes is the very next day, Norris wins the sprint race and Verstappen doesn't finish. Verstappen takes the win 24 hours later. Norris finishes only second, and then, well, that was all wasted. Totally wasted. So, I mean, it's a big ask, lads, for McLaren. They can so bloody do it. It's incredible. They do need a bit of bad luck going towards Verstappen's way, and they do need Oscar Piastri come into play now. If I'm Zach Brown, which I've seen this so many times in motor racing, where you bring in that other guy, you give him all the attention in the world, right? So in this case, you've got Piastri right on the coattails, right on the back bumper of Verstappen and Norris. And if he gets into a situation with Verstappen, he bloody lunges, he goes for it, right? And maybe there might just be a, quote, little accident between Verstappen and Piastri. I don't think McLaren are dirty, but lads, we never know. There's millions of dollars up for stake here, and the more you win, the more points you get. The more points you get, the more money you get. So to keep the lights on and pay the bills, you'd never know what kind of debt, if they're in debt, McLaren. You don't know what's going behind closed doors here, lads. So either way, we need Piastri to come in to this championship right now, not to contend, but you need him to be the sandwich between Verstappen. If you get Norris winning, then you got Piastri taking the second position. Now you've just cleared a bigger gap between Norris and Verstappen. Or, sorry, should even say, actually even shut it down, actually. So Norris catches up with Verstappen. Again, just a different way you got to look at it. So going into this weekend, lads, we're going to get into a bit more Formula 1 news here now in just a moment, but let's look at the track first. So we're going to break down the track in just a moment, lads. We're going to go on board and show you the most important corner on the track and where they can capitalize with this engine speed. But before we get to that, a little bit of news, the big talking point of this week. Logan Sargent, he gets fired from Williams halfway through the season. Well. I even did a short clip on this only just a few days ago, lads. On YouTube, a clip. It's crazy what's just happened, lads. Honestly, I think it's insane. They're bringing in a Formula 2 driver that is only currently lying 6th in the championship as we speak. He's had one race win, so he hasn't been taking the world by storm here in Formula 2. Maybe he'll do really well in Formula 1. Of course, we don't know that, right? But to get rid of the guy that's had a bit of bad luck here and there. Now, maybe you don't like Logan Sargent, maybe you think he's bad, but let's look at his results for now. Already this year in 2024, lads, we've had Alex Albon, his teammate, the number one golden boy, clearly. Alex Albon has had one big crash. He made a mistake and he had a big crash. Logan Sargent has had 2 crashes. Now, James Vowles, the team principal, has said already, he's done with them, he's had enough because of his crashes. Well, hang on a second there, my man. James, your golden boy's had 1 big crash. This guy's had 2. Now, lads, I don't know, you might think that's a lot, but I've come from the racing driving world, and this is like a UFC fighter getting hit in the head, or kicked in the stomach, or broken leg, whatever you call it, right? This is part of the package. It happens all the time. This is nothing major. I've seen racing drivers who've had 4 big shunts in the first half of a year, maybe even more. I mean, look at Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen has the record of most crashes in the history of Formula 1. He's had more than Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton's been around for, I can't think of the top of my head, I think it's an extra 10 years, right? Hamilton's been around a long time, and he's had more crashes than Lewis Hamilton. But yet they didn't get rid of him, Red Bull. Why? Because they know that crashing is part of the package. Now, look, obviously you don't want the guy to be crashing all the time. But James Vowles is being ruthless here, and I'll tell you why. I have never seen it, lads, when a racing driver has been so undermined when Alex Albon crashes off by his own mistake, and then they decide, okay, we've no parts, and we're going to boot out Logan Sargent, who's done nothing, and they put Alex into Logan Sargent's car. That was unheard of. It was criminal. It was unimaginably toxic. I mean, lads, it's like saying if you've got a husband or wife and they're literally saying to you, well, honey, you know, I might go out tonight, and if I find someone else, I'm going to go sleep with them, okay? Sorry. It's the way it is. A totally vulnerable, pissing on your territory mark that you can't control. You know that this person can come in and can take over your position. I mean, maybe that's a bad comparison, lads, but honestly, even I spoke with my race engineer when I saw this at the start of the year already, and the two of us were actually so shocked that this happened that we started laughing. We genuinely started laughing, as in, have you ever heard anything like this, Raj? And he went, no, I've never seen it. This is just, you just don't do it, lads. You just don't do it. It's unheard of. And for him to do that, Logan would be coming along to every other race weekend saying, well, I'll hope I just keep it on the track, but hey, if I don't, well, hopefully this guy doesn't have a crash, otherwise he's in my car for the rest of the weekend. It gives no sense of security. Your job is tough enough, lads, in motor racing as it is, to keep on pace, keep the focus all the time. It's bloody tough. And for this guy then, he's had enough of his crashes. Well, that's total crap. And to finish it off, Alex has had 2 9th positions so far this year. That's the best he's done. Logan has had 1 11th position. Now, there's not much difference between 9th and 11th. Okay, Alex did it twice, but Alex is the golden boy. And Logan is under unbelievable, vulnerable pressure from James Vowles, the team owner. Clearly didn't give a damn what he wanted or what he thought, and just made a toxic environment. And I'll say, even just for the last thing, lads, this wouldn't have just affected Logan Sargent, the driver. This would have affected his engineer and his mechanics, because the mechanics and engineer, and I know this from the racing world, they would have been sitting there going, jeez, well, they'd be keeping an eye on Alex Albon to make sure he didn't crash off. And otherwise they're packing their job up for the weekend. Literally, go back to the hotel, get the passport, get the airline ticket. Lads, we'll see you back at the factory in a couple of days. We're not hanging around for this. You've got my car for the weekend. Good luck. Very, very toxic environment to be in. And now he's got rid of him. It all just doesn't add up, lads. But again, look, this is motor racing. It can happen. It's unbelievable. Okay, let's get on to the track. Where can Verstappen and Norris defeat each other or any other teams? But let's focus in on Verstappen and Norris. All right, lads, so we're showing you just a couple of clips here as we're going through the episode today of some of the corners and the straights. So you can see, guys, it's a over 210 mile an hour track, and you need great engine power, horsepower, and you need good brakes, especially going through those chicanes. But this is the corner, lads. You come through turn 6, but turn 7 is the key. Turn 6 is quite important, though, because it sets you up for turn 7. I wouldn't treat them as one corner, though. This turn 7 is where it's at, because you're coming down this back straight. Let's have a look. So you're coming down through turn 7, keep it nice and smooth getting on that curb. Now you're going downhill, lads. Downhill is working with you here, which is great. You've got this big, long straight, turning into 8, 9, and 10. And again, you're using that speed that you've got from 7. Even if it's 1 mile an hour, half a mile an hour extra, you're bringing it into 8, 9, and 10, and then onto the back straight here, all the way up to 11. And I can't stress enough, lads, this is where Norris and Verstappen can outdo one another here at this weekend. And if they do it consistently, not just in qualifying, it's all about doing it every lap, bang, 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 bang. And that's where they will defeat the other guy. But of course, guys, a lot of things can play into factor too. Pit stop can happen. One of the guys mightn't show up on the day. One of, in fact, Hamilton or Leclerc, Carlos Sainz. Of course, it's Ferrari. They're going to be really gunning to get victory here this weekend. Maybe they can bring something to the table. The Ferrari engine is very, very quick. And, you know, I'm going to say, I have to admit, I'm going to go with Lando Norris for the win again this weekend. Verstappen, I can't see him finishing any higher than 3rd. I'm going to go with Norris, Piastri in 2nd, and Red Bull in 3rd. Maybe Ferrari can do a surprise comeback here. Again, it is in front of their Tifosi. Good engine speed. They're the dark horse, I honestly think. But, you know, guys, it's going to be interesting because we're getting to the point here now where Norris and Verstappen, they're not superhuman. They're just human like all of us. They're going to be under pressure. Some of them could melt. Some of them could conquer. Maybe we'll see it this weekend. Will we see cracks in the armour, or will we see guys starting to form into bulletproof here? It's going to be interesting to find out. We'll have to wait until Sunday afternoon. Lads, I'll be back on Monday morning with the highlights. Thanks for watching.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move. He's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh.